Time to pull up a chair. We've got another great story for you today in the rLounge. Revenge is a dish best served with a side of innovation, right? Today in the rLounge, being a boss isn't all glitz and glamour. Sometimes it's just a one-way ticket to bankruptcyville. Sister stole my business idea and launched it using Dad's money. I exposed her malpractice and got it shut. I, 25 female, have been betrayed by my sister, Leslie, 22 female. She's gone behind my back to impress my dad and turn all the heads towards her. You see, Leslie is an adopted child of my parents. After I was born, my parents got a medical condition that prevented them from conceiving another child. They wanted a second child. I also wanted a sibling. It was lonely living alone. Unable to have it naturally, my parents went for adoption. When I was 5, my parents brought Leslie home, and she was 2. I was happy and excited to have someone at the house to play with. We shared a fairly good bond. I treated her like my own sister. It was much later that our parents told us that Leslie was adopted, and that did not change anything between us. However, there was something about Leslie that ever since we were a child, she has had this knack to outshine me and impress my parents. She was not a bully or toxic, so to say, but she did put a face in front of the parents and do her subtle acts to impress them. To her brownie point, Leslie was charming, outgoing, and had a way of winning people over effortlessly. My parents adored her and were always proud of her achievements. We grew up in a close-knit suburban neighborhood. My mom is an interior designer, and Dad runs a small chain of local grocery stores. Creativity and business acumen were in our blood. My parents had always encouraged Leslie and me to be entrepreneurial and think outside the box. We were still in my teens when I started spotting business opportunities where others saw none. While some of my ideas already existed and some were straight out of the sci-fi movie, few had merit in them. One such was a store for buying and selling baby reused stuff. Once, my parents asked me and Leslie to clean the room upstairs. It was stuffed with all our toys, cribs, stroller, and boxes full of our discarded clothes. It was kind of nostalgic for me to let go of that stuff. Most of the stuff was in good condition, yet we had to discard it as we had outgrew them. Mom sold them to a flea market at a very cheap rate. That incident stuck in my mind. While a flea market is an option to sell, buy used stuff, it kills the essence of that item, and not everyone wants to be hit by a flea market for shopping for the baby. You know, because of hygiene. A thought crossed my mind. Why not create a business that rents out baby items? We have to make it in such a way that parents can trust us in terms of hygiene, and we should ensure everyone rents those items instead of wasting bombs of money owning them. Babies outgrow their clothes so quickly that most of them are almost new. It seems like the perfect idea to save parents money while also being environmentally conscious. I started to develop the concept further, sketching out plans and envisioning a cozy store where parents could come and browse a curated selection of baby clothes. Each item would be thoroughly cleaned and expected to ensure it met the highest hygiene standards. The more I thought about it, the more excited I became. This was it, the perfect business idea. Life, however, has a way of throwing curveballs. I discussed my idea with Leslie. I told her every minute detail that I had thought about my business. There were a couple of things that she had also suggested which polished my idea. I did not consider her to be a threat, so I didn't feel the need to hide it from her. Besides, she wanted to try out her luck in modeling. She had the body and face for it. I had a diary where I listed down my business idea in detail. Leslie had access to my diary, and I don't know when she copied all the information from there. At 18, I moved out for college. She had just started her high school then. My plan for starting the business was still on, but I wanted to complete my education so that I have a degree to fall back on. Yeah, I wanted to play safe. However, there was someone who was aggressive in her move. When I came back from my summer break, my parents proudly told me that Leslie had come up with a brilliant business idea that she would like to pursue after school. Leslie never wanted to go to college, and she convinced my parents in her deal. I asked, "Great, but what about college?" My parents said that her idea is very promising, and with the kind of enthusiasm and dedication she has, she would be able to have a life without a degree. Leslie was in the room when we had this discussion, and her eyes lit up. I should have known then that she had something up her sleeve. I asked what the idea was, and they told me she wanted to have a store for renting out baby stuff. I was shocked to hear that. I looked at Leslie with disbelief. My parents said that they were also blown away by her enthusiasm and commitment at this age. I protested. "No, it was my idea. I had been harboring this for years. Remember when you asked us to clean the room upstairs? Since then I have been thinking about this idea. I even disclosed this with Leslie. Who knew she would steal it and present it as hers?" Leslie defended that though it was I who spoke about this first, It was she who had laid out a fully fleshed out business plan. She said, "I thought you dropped the idea when you went to college, so I chalked out the plan and presented it to Dad." I was like, "What plan?" "I laid out the whole thing in front of you." She pointed out some differences between my plan and what she had told Dad. My dad intervened and said, "Well, it doesn't matter whose idea it was. The one who presents it gets to own it. If it was yours, why didn't you pursue it?" I said I would have pursued it after college. The plan that she had presented is actually mine. She had taken my idea, added a few tweaks, and presented it as her own. Dad asked me to show him the original plan, but my bad luck, the diary in which I wrote all the plans was in my dorm. I said I could bring the diary and show the details, but Leslie said, "Now you have heard my plans in detail. What if you go and write all the stuff now? Who knows?" I was petrified at her remark because she knew the truth that she had stolen my plan, and now she was worried that I would copy hers. What an evil. I said I can verbally explain all the fine details. Leslie protested that I was repeating the same stuff that I had heard of hers. It led to an ugly fight between us. Dad intervened and said if I could show him my original plan right now, he could consider it, else he couldn't help. He has to go with Leslie. Despite my protests, he decided to fund her venture, believing that her outgoing personality and drive would make the business a success. I was devastated. The idea I had nurtured and developed was taken from me, and I could do nothing about it but sulk. It was tough for me to see my parents enthusiastically setting up her business venture. When I complained, they told me instead of whining, I should work on finding other business opportunities. They asked me to be happy for my sister, but I couldn't shake the feeling of betrayal. My parents worked with her in polishing her idea while she was still in high school. Dad helped her scout the best location for her store. Mom helped her in designing it aesthetically. Leslie didn't go to college. Leslie's store opened with much fanfare when I was in my senior year at college. As I concluded in my research, it quickly became a popular spot for young parents looking for affordable baby clothes because there were none in our area. Extended family and friends poured in to congratulate the third entrepreneur in the house. Naturally, they started drawing the comparison that I was still in college while my younger sister was running a business. Leslie was praised for her innovation and entrepreneurship, and my parents couldn't be prouder. Whenever I visited home, she ensured to rub her success in my face, so I stopped going home. My parents attended my graduation day. They said they were very happy and proud of me, but I didn't feel the happiness because I had planned on pitching my idea to Dad on my graduation day. I was so disheartened and pissed off that I dropped the idea of entrepreneurship and took up a job after college. Another reason was that I needed to save money in case some business idea popped up in my mind. I don't want to ask Dad for investment. I grew resentful of my parents. I was convinced that they overdid their love for Leslie just to make sure no one pointed out that they loved their daughter more than the adopted one. So they prioritized the adopted one more than me. It's been 4 years since Leslie's business was launched. I have got a boyfriend now, and we have come up with another idea, but this time it is around technology. My parents were celebrating their 30th anniversary and they wanted me to be a part of it. I swallowed my bitterness and went. I maintained a distance from Leslie, but she jumped into the conversation to rub her success in my face. One of my aunts asked what was I doing. She jumped in and said, "Oh, she's doing a job." The way she said was very demeaning. Then she ranted about how she could never work for someone else. She brags about her entrepreneurial and leadership skills. Apart from the toxic encounter with Leslie, it was fun catching up with friends and family after so long. I opted to live with a friend and catch up in the town for 2 days. Couldn't stay at home because Leslie was still living with my parents. Catching up with some of the cousins, I got to know that Leslie's store is not getting the kind of traction it used to get in the initial years. I checked her store reviews and it had indeed tanked a lot. Many people had reported that the clothes don't seem as clean as they should be. A couple of them even reported rashes and infections after using items from her store. Curiosity got the better of me and I asked my friend to visit the store under the guise of a customer. She wasn't at the store when my friend visited. According to her information, the place looked tidy and well organized, but the corners were dirty. She clicked pictures of some clothes that had visible stains and a faint musty smell that suggested they hadn't been cleaned properly. She struck up a conversation with one of the employees and subtly asked about their cleaning process. The staff admitted that they were often in a rush and sometimes cut corners to meet demand. The store doesn't look busy, but the staff were lazy, maybe because of Leslie's absence. My friend tried to sneak a peek at the warehouse behind the rack while one of the staff was coming out, and she saw insects crawling inside. Not only had Leslie stolen my idea, but she was also ruining the business irresponsibly, putting babies at risk. Before leaving the town, I went to meet my dad at his office. I told him that I got to know that Leslie's store was not buzzing as it used to. He admitted that she had lost the focus on the store for a while, but he's sure that it's just a phase and she would bounce back soon. I didn't indulge in any further discussion on this topic. I didn't want to give him the vibe that I was still stuck in the past. But the truth is, I am. I thought I had moved on, but after knowing her malpractice at the store, I want to avenge it. A part of me tells me to not give F to her store and proceed with my new business, but honestly, I can't. Do you think it is normal to not move even after 4 years? Wow, your sister really knows how to steal the show, huh? It's like she took sibling rivalry to a whole new level and then some. It's almost impressive to how she managed to swipe your business idea right from under your nose and then botch it up like a toddler playing with finger paints. Maybe Leslie will learn the hard way with that success isn't just about stealing ideas and flashing a charming smile. And as for you, well, it's never too late to dust off that entrepreneurial spirit and show her how it's really done. Update 1. Okay, call it revenge or social service, whatever. I did what I thought was right for everyone. So I was convinced that I had to do something about her substandard practices. Besides that, Leslie's habit of belittling me in front of everyone triggered me. She would post all nonsense stuff on social media that doing a job is like slavery, and she is not a slave but a boss. Her Instagram handle is Startup Queen. Some of these posts were an indirect jibe at me because I did a job while she ran her own company. I had the videos and photos my friends had brought. I contacted the people who wrote the negative reviews about her store and asked them to share their pictures of their baby's rashes after using the stuff. I made a good case against her store and reported it to the health authorities. It was not easy convincing the customers to sign the petition to lodge the complaint and seek evidence of renting and buying the stuff from her store. However, some of the customers cooperated for the betterment of society, and my complaint was taken up seriously. Just a couple of weeks later, I got the response that FDA would be investigating the matter, and I would be updated about it shortly. It didn't take long for the authorities to find the truth in my complaint. Her store was raided. It found that they were using outdated machinery for cleaning and the safety protocols were violated. There were multiple other hygiene violations in the store. Leslie was devastated when she got to know this. She wasn't at the store at the time. By the way, she leaves the store to the staff most of the time because she is busy giving modeling auditions and preparing herself for the perfect hourglass body. My parents were more heartbroken than her. The store was shut down pending further investigation and her bank account was frozen. Leslie and her staff were taken for questioning regarding the cleaning and sanitization process. Leslie called my parents in panic, and they called me asking if I could do anything about it. I said it was not my concern. Later that night, my parents called me again saying Leslie was asking what practices she should have implemented to avoid the FDA knocking at her door. I said she had made a detailed business plan, didn't she? Then why is she asking me for the solution? Dad was like, "It is not the time for a blame game. Rather, we should stand with her as a family." I hung up the call saying I was busy. Family my butt. Lastly, Leslie was slapped with hefty fines. Dad bailed her out of the situation. In the moment of weakness, Leslie confessed to my parents that it was actually my idea and she had stolen the blueprint from my diary. My parents were shocked and disappointed. They called me and apologized for not trusting me back then. Dad offered to fund my company as a gesture to compensate for his behavior. I declined it because my boyfriend and I have already invested our savings into it and I don't think we would need his money. Leslie's store is still closed. She had to make major changes in her process to be able to get back into the business. As I mentioned earlier, the business has been dwindling for the last 2 years. She doesn't have enough gain to reinvest now. I don't know what she is up to, and I don't even care. I'll update the thread if anything develops. Well, looks like Startup Queen's reign has come to a crashing halt. Who knew that being too busy perfecting your selfing angle could lead to a full-blown FDA investigation? I mean, kudos to you for taking revenge with a side of public service announcement. It's like you're the Robin Hood of hygiene, stealing from the unsanitary and giving it to the germ-free. And as for Leslie, well, I guess you could say she got a taste of her own medicine. Except this time, it wasn't just metaphorical. But hey, at least your parents finally saw the light, right? It's like a family reunion, except instead of hugs and tears, it's awkward apologies and hefty fines. Update 2. Hey everyone, thanks for the comments. For those of you who asked why I didn't start the same business at a different location, the market has space for similar businesses. You're right. In fact, I was romanticizing the idea of launching the same business online. I had made the blueprint of it. One reason why I was not starting it was that she would get a point to say I was copying her. Not only she, but my parents, family, and friends all would think I had copied her idea and launched it online. The second reason was I met my boyfriend and he convinced me to do something on technology because the world is getting tech-driven. I'm not sure if this is the right decision or not, but we have started it, and now let's see how it goes. Coming to the update. Dad helped Leslie get back on her feet. He loaned her the money required to restart the store. However, I got to know that Leslie was not so much interested in restarting it, but Dad had insisted she give it another shot. Despite a lot of effort and hand-holding from Dad, the business has gone downhill again. The thing is, once you get a bad name, it becomes nearly impossible to wash it off. The news of the raid hasn't gone down well with the people, and the store's reputation has been ruined. People no longer trust her store. Why would anyone bet on their children's hygiene? This area of business was very delicate. If at all, she understood how delicate and sentimental business it was. Leslie tried to hold the fort for a while, but ultimately her store ran out of business and she had to go permanently shut it down. I feel bad, but not for Leslie, but for the fact that it was such a good business idea and she could not pull it off. Leslie is now jobless, but the funny part is she doesn't give a dang about it. My parents thought that she was disheartened because her business failed, but the truth was she never really wanted to run a business. She did it only because she wanted to outshine me. My parents asked her what did she want to do next, and she said she would try her luck in modeling. My parents are supporting her, but God knows until when they are planning to have her back. She's 22 now and still living on my parents' money. Update 3. Sorry for not updating this earlier. It's been 2 years since my last update. Something new developed with regard to this thread, so thought of updating you guys. Leslie showed up at my office last day. She looked terrible. She was crying and begging for help. She has had no luck in any modeling assignment despite trying it for 5 years. I was like, how did you try for 5 years? Wasn't your store shut down just 2 years back? She confessed that she was never interested in running that business. She did it only to prove that it was so easy to run something so simple that I was hyping it so much. Her store did marvelously well in the first year, and she proved her merit. Post that, she moved to pursuing her modeling career, leaving the stores to the staff, which led to the business getting compromised. She sobbed and confessed that it was all her mistake that she let all the business sink. A few of the honest staff complained to her that the others were siphoning money from the counter and other malpractices happening at the warehouse, but she didn't even have the time to check the camera footage. Her negligence led to her downfall. She said my parents have been supporting her all this while, but now they have given her 3 months' time to put her life together. It's the last week of the 3 months period, and she still has no job. She doesn't have a college degree to land a decent job. So, she approached me asking for a job at my company. She was contrite, admitting that she had made mistakes and didn't know where else to turn. But trust, once broken, is hard to rebuild. I couldn't forget how she had betrayed me. Despite her pleas, I couldn't bring myself to hire her. I offered to help her find other opportunities and even suggested she go back to school and get a degree. But my company was my sanctuary, and I couldn't risk letting her in. My parents now realize their mistakes, that they turned a blind eye to Leslie's mistakes and pampered her only to escape the judgmental eyes of society. I'm not sure how serious Leslie is about a job, but I have referred her to some of my friends for a back office job. That is all I could do for her. Thanks for reading my post. Well, I see the family feud is still going strong. I mean, who knew that being a boss lady was harder than just slapping CEO on your Instagram bio and calling it a day? It's like Leslie thought running a business was as easy as picking out an outfit for a photo shoot. Turns out it's more like trying to juggle flaming swords while riding a unicycle on a tightrope over a pit of hungry alligators. And then Leslie, the former startup queen, showing up at your office doorstep like a lost puppy in need of a bone, or in this case, a job. It's like watching a cat burglar asked to be the new security guard of the bank. But hey, at least you've got your company to keep you grounded, right? Who needs family when you've got spreadsheets and business plans to keep you company? Wishing you all the best with your new endeavors. I'm sure you'll do great. What would you have done? Share your thoughts with us in the comments below. And thank you for joining us today in the rLounge. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video. See you soon, and please put your chair back where you found it.